Oh, after the hostilities. I've been shooting after the hostilities. Welcome, by the way, friends. I've been shooting these after the hostilities as a post-fight analysis, because that's what I mostly do. I talk about fighting. So, I was doing lots of pre-fight analysis on the YouTube channel, lots of, talking about fights coming in with Ramdeen or Mullins or myself or with people. And people kept saying, what about after? Don't you want to talk about the fights after? So, after the hostilities. But today I want to talk about Brendan's show. Last night in Toronto, Brendan Schaub did a show, a live show, sold out live show. And I went. And I was so moved by it and so entertained by it that I wanted to take 10 or 15 or 20 minutes and talk about it. My thoughts on Brendan's show. That dude drinks a lot of iced coffee, or coffee. So, Brendan Schaub, live in Toronto at the Phoenix Concert Hall. Couple things in advance. Brendan is a friend. I like him very much. I've done his show twice. And I probably only watched his show another 3 or 4 times. I've enjoyed every time I've seen him. And I think he's incredibly funny, incredibly charming. He has this insane likability. But I don't watch a lot of other people's stuff because I don't know why, but I'm mostly consuming fighting. And I have the tendency to not want to watch too much of other people talking about fighting because it's very easy to just sort of be shaped in that direction. And I want to be able to analyze fighting by myself and follow my intuition and my curiosity. And every now and again I'll pop in and go, oh, fuck, Dan Hardy's really smart. Or, wow, Joe and Brendan, or Brendan and Callan, or whoever, and just get the odd little tidbit and enjoy it. But I don't follow even my friends. I watch Rogan's podcast 1 out of 10. And I see Schaub 1 out of 20. But my exposure to him has been that he's been brilliant and hilarious and funny. And holy shit, was he really good. He was very good. And that's easy. I could sit here and I could tell you I went to Schaub's show. It was funny, it was entertaining, whatever. But I wanted to think about it on a deeper level than that. Myself, because that's fucking what I do. For whatever reason, that's how I am. And what I find that is fascinating to me is as people start to succeed in whatever they're doing, when they're on their own, they're building their own world, their audience is inspired. So there's an inspirational element to what Schaub does, where everybody watching it, they're cheering for him to make you laugh or to talk about McGregor Mayweather or whatever, but on some level, as a fan of these individuals, we're cheering for them to succeed. And that's a really, really neat thing. When you go and... So, let me go back a layer. Podcasting in general, I'm a very small-time consumer of podcasting. So I don't know the culture. The culture itself very new to me. Mark, who is my producer and podcast expert and shooter and editor, Mark is my... Brendan has Chin. Rogan has Jamie. I have Mark. And I fucking love Mark. He's a deep consumer of podcasts and the world around it. And there is an element where if somebody is sharing interesting ideas, Brendan to his audience, whoever to their audience, the audience becomes cheering for them to succeed. And that aspect of it, I just think is so incredible. So you see 900 people there that love Brendan, think he's funny, think he's smart, etc. Nothing without your engineer, somebody said. Yes, that is exactly right. But they are also there. They're thrilled that he sold out. The theater. They're thrilled that he's touring. They're thrilled that he's on Showtime talking about McGregor. There's this fascinating element of support that the podcast world that you see in it, and it was really, really neat to see. When I started watching him, you can't imagine. There's also this really cool thing where you're cheering for him because the dude didn't do comedy 3 years ago. And there he is with this very well-told story of, of his life. And then sharing things about going to see a therapist. And that's, comedy experts, somebody's saying what happened. If you came late, I went to Brendan Schaub show last night, and I enjoyed it. And I'm talking about it. And I'm analyzing it, because I analyze stuff. So if you're just joining me, we won't be talking about fights as much as we normally do here today, because we're talking about performance. There's a connection between fighting, and I'm not with Brendan, I was at Brendan's show last night, between fighting and performance. And there is a connection. For Woodley to beat Damian Maia, he must be in an optimum state of performance, right? For Damian Maia to not get hit, get in, close the distance, he must be in an optimum state of performance. And so on some level, that's what you were watching last night, is this guy who didn't know how to do comedy maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and he's very good. Now, if you're a comedy expert, you might say, oh, he's young or new or green. I don't know. Personally, I thought it was very good. I was shocked at how well he told stories. There was a physicality to it. I was very, very blown away by it. I also had no idea. So Mark, who is my producer, reached out to me within a few days of me saying that I was no longer at Fight Network, and said I'd love to, do this. And the Jamie or Chin or Mark, there's a culture of these guys too. They're strivers. They're guys who will outwork everybody they know. They're guys who want to figure out the answer to grow something. They're guys who want to go, hey, we're doing this, how can we make that twice as good? And so I had no idea that Mark heard Chin's story about waiting outside for Brendan to say, hey, let's do this, I wanna work with you. And he heard Chin's story as Chin worked with Brendan, and together they built that, and that inspired Mark to reach out to me. I had no idea. But I think that's a fascinating element to it as well. That there is this dream to succeed element to the world of podcasting, right? Something that I didn't realize was there. I get it. And people are very kind to me, like, dude, look, I can't believe you're at 17,000 subs, or, I'm watching you on Periscope every day. There's this cheering for you to succeed vibe. And man, was that heavy in the air at Brendan's show last night. It was really cool. It was really, really cool to see. So what else did I get out of it? Something very powerful for me. I don't know how deep it'll stick, but I have this incredible tendency to look at fighting so seriously. And trust me, I'm going to always. And it'll be very difficult for me to ever go any other way, so don't worry if that's the thing you enjoy. I will always be doing that. It has deep meaning to me. It's important. I see it as I see the analysis of fighting as this noble calling. I know that most people don't. But that's how I see it. Whereas Brendan was able to let me look and go, it's still these people who want to be entertained. So some guy came up, he does a question and answer thing after. First he does his comedy thing, which is very good. Very good. Not just there's a rhythm and a timing and all this stuff that I don't know specifically about comedy that this man has learned in a very short time. The storytelling was great. The self-deprecating humor was good, but the body language, the physicality, I was actually very surprised by. Changing his walk, and he did talk about filleting men a lot. I'm not sure why. But that was a big part of his show. But very, very good. And I was same thing, you see these 800 people, and they're very much there wanting him to succeed. That's so cool. I just really, really liked that vibe a lot. But I also, a guy came up to ask him, who, Dylan Dennis versus Gary Tonin. And Brendan's like, he chats with the guy, interacts with him a little bit, says Tonin is a bad motherfucker, and then says Dylan Dennis dresses in this way that's metrosexual, so I like Tonin. Everybody laughs and they moved on. I would never be able to do that. I would have to sit there and talk about X-Guard and all this crazy shit. And really, what this audience wanted? They wanted to be... that guy wanted to interact with him. He wanted to laugh. If you think this guy dresses goofy, you can pick the other guy. That's okay. And I think that's going to be very helpful, because I don't know if you've noticed, but I've been on this extremely snobby kick about fighting and analysis and how important it is and why we're misunderstanding it and why if we keep talking this way we're misusing language and we'll make people believe something about fighting that isn't actually happening. And I do believe those things. But not everybody gives a shit, Robin. Not everybody gives a shit that level. So I think seeing Brendan have a little more fun with it and remembering that this complex martial arts that I'm obsessed with is important to me, but not necessarily important to everybody. And I do sound a little crazy sometimes when I go as deep as I desperately need to keep going, digging and stuff. And that's fun, and I'll keep doing that. But it's good still to remember that sometimes that guy dresses goofy, so I like this guy better. That I have really, really gone to a degree of over peeling. And I will continue to do that because I'm obsessed with the martial arts. But there was something very nice and light about seeing that. So that was fun. That was a good lesson for me. Quick story at the end. When I did Brendan's show, I was asking him about it because I was very curious about the performance of his live show. So when I did his show, his podcast, we were talking about the show, and at the end, he goes, yeah, and there's always one dummy who comes up, oh, it was like I'm 6 with Rhonda, bro. And I laughed, and I thought, yeah, that's hilarious. What? And I'm like, no way, there's not every time. And he's like, yeah, there is. So he's doing his Q&A, and I'm sitting there waiting for the guy to come up. There's gonna be one guy, and he's come. Where is it? And I see these 40 people lined up to ask him questions, and we're down to the last 5, and nobody's asked about Rhonda's having sex with Rhonda. And let me preface this to say I fully realize that Rhonda's a human being. I personally like her very much. I'm a big fan of everything that she accomplished. And when you date somebody, it's classy not to talk shit about them. And I haven't been exposed to everything Brendan's ever said about his ex-girlfriend, but everything I've been exposed to, he's been very classy about it, as one should be. But so I went up and I asked. And people laughed hysterically. I asked it in a kind of a crude way. And Brendan was classy. His answer was classy. Somebody asks that every night. Nobody was going to ask it. Fuck it. Robin Black's going to ask it. Which was hilarious. And he was, of course, classy about it because that's what he's going to do. People laughed hysterically, and it was funny. He was very kind. He mentioned my name a couple of times as the best analyst in Canada and stuff. He's a very generous person, which makes me feel like, and Rogan's the same. Rogan has treated Brendan that way, and Callan has helped Brendan. Rogan has also been very generous to me. Brendan has learned that. So he's in Toronto, so he mentions his friend Robin Black. He's a great analyst. People cheer. That's very kind. I'm going to do that whenever I can because that comes down from the top. It goes to Rogan, Brendan, and Callan, and I'm somewhere connected as an outlier friend of theirs. And so I'm learning that from those guys. But so I walked up and I made a very crass comment about Rhonda. People laughed hysterically. It was fun to do. I did it because comedy was happening and it was funny and I wanted to try. But let me tell you something I picked up that I found very interesting myself is I realized how much Brendan has learned about running a show and controlling the audience and entertaining them and bringing them somewhere and bringing out more fun and making them laugh. Making a room laugh is an incredible thing. It's an incredible thing. So there were 2 or 3 people left, and he said, that girl will be the last question. And then I came up, and I was behind her, and he goes, should we make Robin Black the last question? And I popped up into the front and took the next question. And I didn't realize, and it was funny, and it laughed, and it was great, and it was a goofy part of a little Toronto, Leave Rhonda Alone, someone says. I'll comment on that, too, in a second. Was a funny part of a Toronto show is, oh yeah, and fucking Robin Black asked about Rhonda's vagina. So that's great. But I realized when Brendan went to say, why don't we make Robin Black last, there was the possibility of a moment like that. And as a guy who has a real good sensitivity to how the show is going, he wanted to bring that moment to the end. I screwed it up because actually that's out of character for me to make a vagina joke in a room like that. I would be talking about fighting normally. So I actually was a little nervous, just as any other person would be walking up to ask a question in front of a room. So I kind of rushed myself in there. And a little bit, when you're looking at things after, he had a better understanding of that room and the potential of that exchange with the local guy that he'd already put over to move it to the end. He didn't know I was going to make a joke about Rhonda, or her vagina for that matter, in a room. But whatever may have taken place between he and I had the potential to be a good show rapper. And I fucked it up. Still was a good moment, but I learned there. I saw that and I thought, these guys who have a true understanding of storytelling and entertaining and taking the audience somewhere special, you got to trust them. So, funny moment. I enjoyed it. People laughed, and that was nice. But Brendan understood it way better than I did. He understood the moments of how to tell that story and how to make it entertaining. Some of that he learned from comedy. Some of that he learned from Joe and Joe's fight companions and doing that. And some of it he has learned on his own, and some of it once you know things, you can feel things. So that was a very interesting moment. Somebody said leave Rhonda alone. What they're kind of referencing, there was a kid, I don't know how old you are watching this, but there was a kid who was like, leave Brittany alone, and he's crying. And I do feel that way when I see people pick on, and that's why that was a weird thing for me. Brendan, as I said, my exposure to him is that he's been always, and I could be wrong, he's probably mentioned it 50 times in conversations because he's on the internet or live somewhere all the time. But to me, he has been, as you would want to be when you have broken up with somebody, as classy as you possibly can about it. But on some level, you're human. You might be hurt. But he handles that very well. It's become an ongoing thing. But for somebody like Rhonda, truthfully, she's a human. She's a person. We get this vibe sometimes that Ronda Rousey or Joe Rogan or Beyonce or Bieber or whoever is somehow different than us. They're not. They have all the same feelings and emotions and vibes as us. So it is difficult when somebody's that famous. I used that to get a laugh and try to entertain 900 other people, but she's still a person. That's still her vagina that I referenced, So I didn't mean it out of harm. And I would think for a lot of people who are as famous as Rhonda is, as fucking Brendan is becoming, they understand that on some level, I think. Or they get used to it, or it wears off. But it was really entertaining. I'm so glad I went. And I brought my friends and Mullins. I asked Brendan on his show, hey, can I bring a couple of friends? He said, no problem. And Mullins, who I do Mentality of Combat, will be out in the next couple of days. His wife just thinks Brendan's the greatest. And she hugged him so tight. And then she hugged me, thank you. And I was like, wow, he's just this guy that I know. And I used to watch Fight, who I've seen him slowly, but Brendan Schaub should be incredibly proud of where he's at. I know with people like that, they're often, and I'm this way often too, wherever you are, you're only thinking about the next, how could he make this bigger? What else could he do? How that's his nature. That's why he's successful. But I hope the guy sits there and looks out at those people and is like, holy shit. All of these people paid to have me entertain them, and they're wearing my t-shirts and shit, So, I don't know. I don't know if I gave you guys a good description of what I took out of the show, but I know that these days I'm at examining the things around the thing now, and I won't be there forever, and I'm okay with that, but I was much more interested in the dynamic between Brendan Schaub, who as I said, only a few years ago didn't do comedy. He didn't run and entertain a room of 1,000 people, and how he did it in the dynamic between him and the audience. And of course, the other thing that was very personally interesting was to see, for me, Mark has become a very important human being to me, and friend and partner and business partner, and he is a hard worker. And to see him connect And Brendan's guy, Chin, who's also just a gem of a dude, inspired Mark. I'm sitting here talking to you guys right now because of Chin. Do you know what I mean? We are having this right now because of Chin. So it was a very cool night. And I was very, very happy to be there. And yeah. While we're wrapping up here, why don't we do some fan questions while we're at it? That was fun. One last thing before we do some fan questions. I am definitely going to work on doing an Ask Robin Black Live. It was something I thought about before and wanted to do, and then when seeing Brendan do it, I definitely I'm going to build an Ask Robin Black Live. I don't know that there will be the comedy-based start chunk that Brendan does. I don't know that comedy is going to be something, but I don't make assumptions that I can do something, but I can find a way that I can make it something that people will enjoy and connect it to analysis and fighting. And I'm going to do that for sure. Robin Black, when are you going to be in Boston? I don't know. Soon, I hope. I like Boston. Let's do some fan questions. Robin, respect for fist bump last night. After my question, I walked around and said, I like your breakdowns, and then we embraced. I remember you. I did meet a lot of people last night. It was very cool. You seem like, fuck it, you're a nice guy, Mr. Black. Thank you. That's not a question. What do you think of Luke Thomas as an analyst? Luke is a very, very cool guy. I don't watch much of his analysis at all, but I have chatted with him. We did one of his Monday morning analysts together. I have a personal feeling that a lot of people who never fought will always have a limited idea. But even with that in mind, what I've seen of Luke, I like him. And whoa, something happened on my page. I like him very much, and he seems intelligent, and he seems like he's looking for answers, and I really like that. Message deleted by Robin Black. I didn't mean to delete your message, Jacob. I don't know how I did that or why that happened. Can you hook me up with Faraz Zahabi? Go train at TriStar. He'll talk to you. Hey, Robin, just wanting to acknowledge that we appreciate you doing these extra shows that you do. Thanks. I like doing these. I do. LSD. I did it in high school. LSD question mark. Did it in high school. CM Punk versus Keith Hackney. I will go with Keith Hackney. Is music still as heavily in your life now that you're so dedicated to fighting? Good question. My wife is very adamant that we listen to more music and consume more art and stuff, and I'm with her on that. But right here I have like a lot of records and a guitar and stuff, so it is definitely a part of my life still. Hey, Robin Black, I lost your question. Love to see you do a Fight Companions, Robin. Best book on fighting psychology. I don't know. Books on psychology and books on mindset. I think there's a book called Grit and a book called Mindset. Both of those are very good. They're not specifically about fighting, but they all connect for sure. When's the next Mayweather-Conor breakdown? That's a great question. Thank you for asking. I have been doing them each Monday, and I have another layer I want to look at, and it's to do with Conor McGregor through our eyes as people watching it, more so than those two doing it. I might do it Monday, but I might go to a cottage. I've been really putting myself through a lot of stress, trying to do too much lately, and I'm going to try to take my wife to a cottage Monday, Tuesday. If that's the case, I'll maybe do it next week, Friday. Robin, what would USADA find in your sample? Be honest. Very little, man. I haven't smoked weed in a month. So, you watching Broner Garcia. Which is more essential in MMA, boxing or wrestling? Well, it's the combination, the blending of the two is the most essential. Breakdown street fights. Actually, street fights... Interesting we're doing a Q&A. This whole thing was about how much I enjoyed Brendan's show last night. And, fuck, he was fun with Q&A. That Dylan Dennis and Gary Tonin question really made me chill out a little. I loved it. And realize it's not I don't have to peel it back. People stop me on the street to ask me about Mayweather McGregor, and I get into intuition and different aspects of focus that you don't have to use when you now are only boxing. And I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, why can't I just say, oh, bro, McGregor's got a good shot, dude? But I can't. I don't know. But it was good to see Brendan make it fun. Really recommend you watch the Weasel channel. FM versus Conor McGregor breakdown is awesome. I don't watch a lot of people's stuff. I don't want it to over-influence me. So when I pop in and I see a Brendan show or something, it gives me a little different line of thought. But if I watch other people do it all day, I'll pick up their language, I'll pick up their ideas, rather than chase curiosity. Who is next in line for middleweight division with Whitaker injured? It'll be GSP, trust me. What do you think of Brock's return? I'm excited by it. That's a big, scary dude. Episode when a UFC event is on. I will. This weekend I'm at TSN for UFC 214. I don't know if I can do... I do often go on Periscope live during UFCs, but I'll do it here. I will. I promise. Robin Black, Eric Perez, Ben Wynn, Ryan Benoit, Sergio Pettis, Robin Black, pound for pound king. No, I am not the king of anything. When are you going to shave your head? This stuff's going back, but I still got some. Once it goes back too far, like David Letterman, I will shave my head, I guess. My wife will hate that. Is DC pound for pound best if you can get it done this weekend? I think so. Weasel Guy on YouTube. Like watching live UFC events podcast. Yep. First amateur MMA fight next weekend. Any advice? Have fun. That's my advice. Have fun and be in the moment. Look around and go, holy shit, this is so cool. Wow. And enjoy every second. How the hell are you such a happy person? I'm not always. I'm a human. Life's challenging sometimes. What non-fighting thing has taught you the most about fighting? Fuck, that's a real good question. I'll try to answer that on the next Ask Robin Black. That's a really good question. Lawler video coming out today. Name 5 UFC fighters who could have a successful boxing career. I don't think there is any. Chances are you'll be in LA sometime soon. Yes, I will be. I'm in LA somewhat often. Robin Black, where do all your concepts from fighting come from? Just keep looking, keep asking why and how, and you'll get there. You should check out Rogan's latest podcast with Jamie Foxx. They speak about being yourself and not changing. Very good stuff. I will. I've got a little time today. I haven't had time to myself in a while, and I will check that out. Did Mighty Mouse lose the pound for pound spot when everyone's giving it to Jones or DC? I don't know. Maybe. Are you going to the Floyd Conor fight? Yes, I'll be there all week, covering it for TSN. And when I'm not busy, we'll try to get stuff for the YouTube channel. Some hotel hangouts with people and stuff. Weasel again. When does fighting with emotion work, and when does it fail? If it works by accident. You shouldn't use it. You should be free of it. The GOAT. Dana, you fucked up. Really, Snoop Dogg? I'm sure that's entertaining. Stay you, bro. I will. I promise. The Jamie Foxx episode is great. And it's only an hour long. Okay, I'm on it. I'll be watching that today. Thank you guys for that. In recap, I highly recommend Brendan Schaub. It was really good. It was really, really good. And I haven't been getting out a lot. And I haven't been seeing other people's stuff a lot. And I've been up my own ass a little bit. And I've been so deep in this McGregor-Mayweather thing, trying to see the world in different ways. And it was really nice to see that guy do such a great thing. And when I say that it's inspiring, when you watch somebody who didn't know how to do something a couple of years ago and they're doing it, what does that prove you? Whiskey in the Six, we got to do that soon. Check out Whiskey in the Six YouTube channel. We're going to do that soon. Hi, Robin. I'm Kathy's nephew, by the way, and I always enjoy your work so much. Huge fan. Thank you. Cheers. Tell Kathy I said hey. But the inspiring nature of seeing a show like that is Brendan isn't a superhero. He's supremely likable. And I don't know how you can work on that. I think that's just how the guy is. But he didn't know comedy years ago. And from what I've been told, Rogan was just like, dude, you should try it. And then he did. People tell you all the time you should try stuff. Oh, dude, you should go learn to play the piano. You should do some jujitsu. Try some shit. That guy went and started trying it. Now look how the place was sold out. They loved it. I learned some shit from it. I woke up this morning happier and kind of inspired by it. And also I chilled out. I'm going to be a little more relaxed when I'm looking at these fights. I'm sorry I've been a bit of a dick about it lately. That everything is so... And of course I love to go peel, deeper, find different perspectives. I'm going to keep doing that, I promise. I'm just not going to be such an arrogant dick about it. And thank you, Brendan, for that. And thank you, Chin. I think I'm talking here to people because Brendan, Chin, my guy Mark Manahara, and thank you, Mark. We're gonna do great things together over the next couple of years, and I owe you a lot, brother. And yeah, thanks, guys. It was really good. I highly recommend going to Brendan's show next time it's in your town. And I'm not just saying that because he's my friend. It was really good. Anyways, have a great day, guys. If I don't see you this weekend, have a great weekend. Enjoy UFC 214. Watch for my breakdowns of John Jones and Dan Cormier with Ramdeen. We also get into Lawler Cowboy. We get into Maya Woodley. They'll all be going up on the YouTube channel probably today. Today is Friday before UFC 214. If you're in Canada, make sure you watch TSN. I'm going to be on there all night for UFC 214. Love you guys. Black out.